promise. When we got into this thing with the best intentions, really. I never...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Well, I'm notifying you.
I'm afraid I'm gonna need a little more than that, sir.
Okie dokie. How's this?
Clark, have you lost your mind? Where did you get that?
Sporting goods store, honey. Now you listen to me, fat ass. You do what I say and there won't be any problem, okay? Okay. We just drove 2,460 miles just for a little Roy Wally entertainment. The moose says you're closed. I say you're open.
We're not really violent people. This is our first gun.
No, it isn't.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, a weekly podcast discussing movie news, reviews, and recommendations. I'm your host, Nathan Schur, and with me are my co-hosts, Sam Cole and Ellie Escobar.
Hey, Nathan, how are you? It's a real pleasure to be here. Sam Cole here.
Good to hear from you again. And Ellie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Great. Well, we just heard a clip from National Lampoon's Vacation, a tie-in to this week's theme, where we'll be discussing M. Night's latest film, A Knock on the Cabin, and also offering up some of our recommendations for films about vacations gone wrong. So let's get right into our weekly water cooler, where I talk to our other hosts about what they've been up to this week. So who would like to go first?
Sam.
Okay, well, this week I've been continuing editing my YouTube series, Walks of World. Gotten some hiking done, worked on some potential plans for the spring, and through no plan or purpose, I actually ended up watching the first two Tomb Raider movies, 2001's Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie, directed by Simon West, and 2003's Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, directed by Jan de Bont, which I enjoyed a little bit more, but that's me in a nutshell right now on this excellent day in February 2023. Sorry.
So these are the first, the two Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders?
Yes, and I just bumped into them randomly. One was on HBO, and I just watched both of them because it had like the sort of production design and set design. And thinking from a design perspective, I just like to see. The movie is obviously very video game-ish because it's based off a video game, but the temples and the jungle and the underwater sets, and they go to Africa in the second one. I just like the production value of it. It's good eye candy.
They were fun and very, very derivative of Indiana Jones films, which I'm not surprised you were a fan of these. I played
not even close to the quality of Indiana Jones, but
now, did you play the games? Because I was a big fan of the games back in, oh my God, I don't know what year. I'm dating myself, but I played them a lot.
You know, it's funny. I actually didn't play the games. I saw my friend playing them on their computer, but he had it on his PC, and I think it was a PC game, wasn't it?
Yes.
Like a platform
not
game.
easy.
So,
not easy.
Challenging. I remember
they were.
But I hadn't played it, but definitely seen it a lot before, for sure.
Anything else you've been doing or watching?
Not much this week. Been a relatively quiet week, just sort of working on my own stuff and continuing on.
All right.
But perhaps more soon.
Where are you you're getting ready for some more adventures in the wilderness? Can you care to share with us where you might be going?
That is so not fully planned out yet that it's like so preliminary that to even discuss it at this point would be an act of foolish futility because it is subject to change. But definitely going back to LA first. So, I mean, I'll getting there eventually, but trying to figure out that schedule right now. So working on that.
All right. Well, definitely keep us in the loop when your next adventure begins. And I'm sure, we'll be podcasting from the middle of nowhere when that day comes, right?
Absolutely. As long as I can get the Wi-Fi, I'm sure I'm a podcast anytime. It'd be funny. It'll be like 8:30 p.m. for you and like 5 o'clock in the morning for me. That'll make for a good podcast.
Wonderful.
Be careful with renting a cabin in the woods. You know what I mean?
I definitely will. Just in case the apocalypse was coming and I needed to be sacrificed.
I don't know if I want to rent a cabin in the woods now.
I'm not going to rent a cabin in the woods. I'm going to rent a hotel room in the middle of the city with lots of security and doors and people and phone calls and restaurants and that kind of stuff. It sounds better. That's the sequel. A couple of people just have a good time at a restaurant. That's it. There's no conflict. You know,
My guy.
I'd watch that movie. Yeah.
So, Ellie, why don't you share with us a little bit about what you've been up to since we last spoke?
Well, been focusing on my school, my acting training, but also getting ready to get some headshots and things like that an actor needs, all the good stuff.
How often does an actor need to get new headshots?
So, from what I hear, and some of my acting coaches have suggested it's every 6 months, maybe every year. 6 months to it depends though. Depends on your look. If you have the same look all the time, then you can get away with the same headshot. I've actually been using my headshot from 2018.
Okay.
And I still get work. And because I don't change my look too much, if I cut my hair short, then I'll have to get a new headshot. But I've learned in the past month, I've learned so much about what a really good headshot looks like and how to emote the emotion through my eyes. What I've learned is that a lot of photographers don't quite know how to get you to emote or to have that emotion through your eyes. So you, as the actor, contact your photographer and you say, hey, this is what I would like to do with my, my headshot, session. And basically you go in there and you tell the photographer what you're looking for, what kind of backgrounds you want. So this time around, I have some great headshots in the past from some great photographers from New England, which I really loved, and they've got me in the door. But this time I want to do something different with my headshots. I'm trying to book, more co-star roles. I'm trying to book, I'm trying to get myself out there and work in the television area, and so for that, I'm going to need a different set of headshots. I'm also working on some clips to upload to different websites that I belong to. So I'm creating my own content and basically filming like a 30 to 45-second clip where I act like a nurse or a teacher or things that I know I can possibly be cast as in this industry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
the most insight I've ever heard about what goes into headshots. I never realized how much discussion goes into the headshot process before you do it. I thought you just showed up like, I'm going to look like this, I'm going to look like that. And you just
I think a lot of people think that that's what it is.
Yeah.
But once you get to really understand what it is you are trying to sell, then you start to really put a package together to send to casting directors or agents. I already have an agent here in New England, but I'm hoping to get something out in LA, maybe New York. But so no, and also don't get headshots from a person that does wedding photography.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You'll have it'll probably be a nice photo, but probably not for actors' headshots. So I would stay away from those. So I've been busy basically in the past 2 months, just working, focusing on the business part of acting for me. And I get in some stuff that I like to see. I saw, for example, this weekend, Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that's a great movie. Great
Have you
movie.
seen it?
Yeah. Oh,
Isn't
yeah.
it
Love that.
great?
Yeah.
I love it. I loved it. I really loved it. And then I watched the new movie that's out with Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher. I can't say his last name.
Ashton Kutcher.
Sure. Yeah.
Kutcher.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher. By the way, those two are two of my favorite actors from back in the 90s to early 2000s. I'm watching the movie Your Place or Mine. Seriously brought me back to like back to the 90s, back to the frame rate. No, sent me back. I felt like watching that film with the music brought me back to like the early 2000s, late 90s, where they used to have those romantic like movies, like for example, the
Like Sweet Home Alabama or
oh my gosh, or
Yeah.
what's the other one? Men in the Moon, Men in the Moon. That
Oh, I've heard about that. I haven't seen that.
yeah.
Have you ever seen speaking of Reese Witherspoon, have you ever seen her 2014 movie Wild, where she's like
Yes.
hiking the Pacific Crest Trail? That's a
Yes.
really
Yes.
good movie.
That was
I like that movie.
that was an inspiration for one of my last short film that I did.
Really?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I loved it. I
Yes.
love that film. It's based on a true story, right?
I
It's
believe
about
so.
A real person, yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
I think
Yeah.
it was a real person. I also I ended up seeing I haven't yet seen another episode of Shrinking. Did you, Nathan?
No, I hadn't seen the latest yet.
I haven't seen the
I'm 3
latest.
episodes in, and I'm worried it may be that I haven't had the desire. And if you anyone listened to last week's show, I was a little down on where it left me off, but I may return to it. I may return to
We
it.
remember what you said. No, we're not gonna forget.
Yes,
Okay.
all we really know is that Harrison Ford will never work with me again, like he ever did.
Forget, never forgive, you know.
I also
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I just there's so much TV I could be watching, so that's the thing. You got to make choices. You got to make choices.
I also started watching. I continued to watch The Last of Us, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The Last of Us, and then the new series. I don't know if any of you have seen that series. It's on Netflix. It's called You,
Haven't seen that, no.
and the fourth season is out, and I was looking forward to it. And by the second episode, I just didn't care for it.
I do want to back up. You mentioned The Last of Us, which is actually a
Yes.
big show that's being aired right now on HBO, and I've been watching that every week, and that was something that I was going to mention as something I've been watching. That show is incredible.
It's ridiculous. Have you watched, Sam?
I haven't seen it, and I know it's like a show that would be right up my alley, and like I'm behind in so many shows, and so I have not seen it yet, but I've seen trailers and clips, and it looks like something I would love for sure.
What I really like about it,
I know it's based off the video game. I haven't played that either.
I've never played the video game. I'm
Never played it.
I'm
Never
not.
played
I'm
it.
not a gamer. That's. I'll put that out there right now. There's so many movies that are based off of video games. I don't have the time of my life. I never have to play these long role play. I don't know what we call it, but basically, I don't have those kind of hours in my life. I make choices in life. I could put 30 hours into a video game, or I could watch 15 movies. And it's always been the choice to watch something instead of play video games. That's always been something I made the decision to do in my life. But The Last of Us, I love it just because every single episode is telling this in a lot of ways, a very self-contained, unique story. And it's been something very different. It's not what I expected it to be. Episode 3 was something that I'd never seen on television before, where it was its own self-contained story, almost had nothing to do with the main characters of the movie, of the TV show. It was maybe the most incredible 80 minutes of TV I've ever seen. So if anybody is not watching The Last of Us, I just say get going on it right now. I love anything that's post-apocalyptic. And another show that HBO put out about a year ago was Station 11, which kind of reminded me of it a little bit, which was just as incredible.
Did you like Station 11? Because I keep seeing it, and I almost clicked on it this weekend to start watching, and I kind of didn't.
It's different because where The Last of Us and a lot of these types of shows are about the dread and society trying to survive. Station 11 is a lot more hopeful, I think. It's about after the apocalypse and about society rebuilding. And it offers a lot more optimistic view and society putting itself back together. But it's told in all different stages of this event that happened. It's a very different type of show. But it's fascinating. It really is.
One thing I forgot to mention that's kind of connected to the sort of like darkness of Last of Us and post-apocalyptic, but last week I'd mentioned this thing called Backrooms, which was bought by A24.
Yeah.
I went down the rabbit hole on that this past week and watched directors like this young, he's like 17 years old. His name is Kane Parsons, I believe. And he lives in Northern California, and it's this YouTube series called Backrooms, where it's basically this other dimension that you can just fall into.
I meant to put it in the show notes. I forgot to do it. But yes.
Yeah, and I'll close this off. Like, I won't go on a long tangent, just to say one really cool special effect thing that I thought was brilliant. It's supposed to be like found footage, and so he shot it as if it took place in 1991, the first episode. And he's going around the backrooms, which is this endless kind of nothing, nowhere dimension with possible terrifying creatures in it and stuff. But it looks like he just shot in a real office space or a warehouse or empty hallways. He didn't. What he did, the whole environment is created in the 3D program Blender. And then what he did was create camera movements through the 3D environment that kind of mimicked human walking to make it look like a handheld camera. And the brilliant last thing after he lit and applied the shadows and the textures and everything was that he put the kind of VHS, sheen on the screen to kind of lower the image resolution. And so that kind of masks the visual effects a little bit. And I literally thought he was walking through an office building. Like, it looks real. So Backrooms, check it out. But interesting other dimensional,
Sam,
I've been researching.
I did follow your recommendation, and I did pull up a YouTube link of one of these. I guess it's multiple videos of this. I mean, I did find this, and I got through about 7 minutes of this. I want to get back to it. It made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's strange. It's not
Why?
Not like entertaining, but it's more like, wow, I just like the effort put into the series makes you feel like the place exists and that it's creepy and that there's like something, and it's like found footage, and there's it's just like you're going through a log of information and you learn more and more about this other dimension that doesn't make sense.
All I can say, I just felt very uneasy, it's very off-putting, and I don't know what it is. It just, my heart's just felt like this is just uncomfortable watching this. And I just wanted to.
Scary?
No, not intentionally.
No, it's all quiet, but it all takes place in liminal spaces. And I didn't know this word. I looked it up, but like liminal means like a threshold or like a transitory space. So what the room, it's not an arrival. It's droning. It's, there's chairs, it's a liminal space. So it's a space to get to another space, but that's, as you constantly wander through that, it's got this kind of purgatorial, uncomfortable, like, I'm fascinated by it. It's so brilliant. And I'm just like, I don't know why I am so interested in it. Like, but people are obsessed with it. And there's a bunch of other backrooms, videos on YouTube that mimic his directing, but if Kane Pixels is his YouTube handle, the videos on that channel, those are the Backrooms videos that you want to watch, because it's a narrative, it's a series.
Could it be that you have been hypnotized now?
Yeah, well, I'm honestly kind of envious of the direction and the fact that it got 55 million views. I'm like, this is genius.
That's crazy.
But just as a fan, I'm also fascinated by it. Like, wow. Amazing how something so thought-provoking and intense and suspenseful and cool can be done on such a small, budget theoretically. So impressive to me. Yeah.
It is something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know now. Should I check?
You should check it out, but it's not like you're watching a short film where you're like entertained and like.
No.
I don't watch some of them. I don't watch the whole thing, but it's like 7 minutes of like wandering through corridors. It's this dimension they don't understand.
See, now I'm curious. I want to know what it's all about.
But
So
it's
I'm
like
gonna check it
unsettling.
out.
They send team members in there and one gets lost and like time shifts and someone like falls through the floor. Like it's a unpleasant place, but fascinating because it's like it has nothing to do production wise or tone wise with the show Lost from
Listen,
years ago, but it's
Sam,
that mystery box element that I love.
I already feel like I'm living in a movie right now every day. Right?
This will then
This
be
might
very
suit
much
you.
right up your alley. You should watch this because like if you find a way to actually fall into this dimension, let me know because I want to go there and like shoot a film in that dimension and be like, oh, another perspective on the background.
Okay, will do.
So, Ellie, anything else you want to share?
I mean, I love that we both The Last of Us is for me my number one show right now, and I am enjoying every second, especially watching Pedro Pascal because I'm totally obsessed with him, and I can
He's
only
on fire right now.
Huh?
He's on fire right now.
He's on fire, but I've been watching him since he became this popular. But I really love him, and it's one of the actors I really would love to work with.
Did you
sometime.
see him on SNL last week?
I did not see SNL, but I've seen some of the clips.
You gotta at least throw his on. It's probably on YouTube right now, but where he plays Mario in it, and it's another video game adaptation. It is worth seeing just for that. Yeah, just Google like Pedro Pascal SNL Super Mario Kart.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that was hilarious. And
Yes.
I'm actually looking forward to the animated film, but I still think it would be amazing and totally insane if there was a live action Super Mario Brothers movie that starred Al Pacino and Robert De Niro as Mario and Luigi. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it'd be just insanely terrible and miscast and weird, but it'd be fun to watch.
So I watched an insane amount of content over the last week. I don't know how I had time, but I'm going to catch up on a couple things I saw over the last week. I went to the theater a decent amount. I saw Missing in the theater, and this is sort of a semi-quasi follow-up to the 2018 film by the same directing team for the film Searching. I don't know if anyone saw that. That is that's the movie that starred John Cho as a father whose daughter goes missing, and he must use technology. It's one of those Screen Life movies where they must find his daughter using smartwatches, smartphones, computer screens to solve this mystery, and everything is shot and filmed using this unconventional way of storytelling. But this film here called Missing, it's a new film by the same creators, and the characters are they're framed in the same way, so the audience only sees them using these devices, security cameras, and so forth. It's an entire genre of films, onto itself, and I think this style's been around for maybe like a decade. I think it started with like maybe films like VHS and things like that a while ago. Maybe Unfriended, I think might have been one of the first ones that got big, maybe in 2014, I think. Well, anyways, back to this movie. The heart of this film is this mystery that surrounds the disappearance of a teenager's mom and her boyfriend when they take this trip to Colombia and they don't return. And the daughter is played by Storm Reed. She's kind of an up-and-comer right now, but her performance in this film it didn't really do a lot for me, but the mystery unfolds in a very kind of conventional way, but the tools that they use is really cool. And it's like something that you don't see very often in the film. It's really creative how they do this. And it's fun for that aspect of it. That said, I didn't really like this film that much. I think Searching from 2018 is a far superior version. And these stories are connected loosely. If you see while you're watching this movie, you see like in the corners, like the websites are open. There are some connective tissue between these two films. And I think I know there's going to be a third movie that somehow ties these plots together somehow. But I would say go back and watch the 2018 Searching with John Cho. It's, I think, a far more superior film.
I feel like I've seen Searching.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I think it was much better than Missing, but I don't know what the third one's gonna be called, but Finding maybe, or I don't know.
Is it a trilogy or no?
I think they're very loosely connected somehow, but it's the screen life genre, which is a kind of a thing right now. But it was interesting. But anyways, so I also saw Infinity Pool, which is the movie that I probably should have seen. I probably shouldn't have seen instead of Knocking the Cabin a week ago. But I saw Infinity Pool, which is the new Brandon Cronenberg movie, which is David Cronenberg's son. And he's apple does not fall far from the tree with the Cronenbergs. This is the third feature following 2013's Antiviral and 2020's Possessor. Antiviral was okay. I didn't see Possessor, but I heard some good things about that. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this film. I want to bring this up because the main reason I want to talk about this is because there was a theater foul. This movie started on a Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Usually when you go to the movies, there's about 15 to 20 minutes of trailers, correct? I think everyone can agree.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So has anyone ever walked into a movie 5 minutes after the starting time and the movie started exactly at the start time?
It's happened once or twice to me. Yeah, it's been frustrating, but yeah.
Never has happened to me in my life. I walked into the theater and the movie had started already. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? I mean, like, and like, I got there at like 7:27, and I'm not somebody that goes to theater and getting like drinks and popcorn that much, especially when I went to this on my own. So I run to the bathroom, I'm checking my phone, I'm waiting outside, and I'm gonna leisurely go in. And it's not just that, I'm there by myself too. All right. So like there's nobody else in the theater. And I walk in like, wow, the theater's really dark. Like there's no previews or trailers or like not even a little like welcome thing. And this is at the Province Place Mall, you know, in like theater 16, which is like the giant theater there.
Oh, it's the big one.
The big one there. And like, I'm surprised because this is not, I was really kind of surprised. So like, all right. And it's already going. And it was at a scene that was like really dark in the beginning of the movie. And I can't even find my seat. And it's like and I'm thinking to myself, it's 7:36 and like this movie's already started. And I am such like a stickler with these things. Like, what if I missed like a key moment of this movie that's going to like affect my entire enjoyment of this film?
Right. Yeah.
And like, do I just walk out? Is there something else playing? Do I look at my phone and like see if I can go somewhere else that's going to start in like 15 minutes? And like, I could, for like 10 minutes, I'm like trying to watch the movie, but also trying to like look at my phone, like, and see if there's something else to play. Like, ultimately, I stay and I watch the movie, and I don't think it really affected whether I like the movie or not. So I leave the film. I watch the whole film. I leave. I go out, and I do say, can I talk to the manager? Because I have to air my grievance with this, because never in my life has a movie started exactly on time like that. And I do get the manager, and I tell him, you know, what happened. And he says, oh, that's really weird. And it's not like I'm looking for a refund or anything like that. And you know what he tells me?
What?
Why don't you just go like download it online so you can see the beginning of the movie? Like, go bootleg it.
What?
That's a surprising thing for him to say. It's
Yes. Like, really? Yeah. He didn't offer like anything else. I wasn't expecting him to, but he was like really like had no sympathy at all. Like, but I was just like,
By the
you
way,
know,
like speaking of Providence Place, like that screen that you're on is like good, decent picture quality, good sound. Like their IMAX is amazing. But if you go back there, theaters 1 through 7, they're on the far right hand side.
yeah, they're about as big as my computer screen.
Yeah. Yeah, terrible sound.
Yeah.
I've seen Banshees of Inisherin several times on like stream on I think HBO, and it was great. But I wanted to see it in the theater, and I took my father to go see it, and it was like hushed, like barely, the sound was terrible, couldn't hear half the dialogue. So yeah,
That
know.
sucks.
7. Just beware.
But it's funny when I went to go see The Whale, right? They happened to put Avatar next to The Whale.
Oh man. Yep. See, every once in a while you hear that like
It was
yeah.
so annoying. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I'm just like, there were moments in The Whale that were so silent. And then Avatar comes in and you're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what, this is why would you put Avatar next to The Whale? It doesn't make sense, but yeah.
There's no thinking. It's just like, well, here's this slot. We'll schedule this movie for this, put this there. But I hear that. That's super frustrating.
And then out of nowhere, some stranger, like towards the end of the film, maybe this guy shows up and just standing there. And we're like, what the heck? Why is he? So I went outside and I talked to the manager and I'm like, there's a stranger that just walked in and he's not part of the film crew there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they come quickly. They were very quickly. They came out to get him. It turns out it's the ticket man. It's an interesting adventure to go to the movies because you never know what you're gonna get. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And good picture and sound quality is like so key to me. It's really annoying if there's a problem with that. Nathan, and along those lines, like I went to see Licorice Pizza at a theater in somewhere, I was in Massachusetts with my uncle, and I guess no one had been going to recent screens. We sat down in the theater, no trailers, nothing. And I went outside because it was like 10 minutes past the time the movie was supposed to start. And the guy was like, oh, there's actually someone there today. I guess we'll play it. Like it should have just been playing automatically, whether there was an audience or not. I can't believe I had to go like remind the guy.
Wow.
Can you like turn it on so he can like watch this? That's ridiculous. Really annoying. A movie theater, unprofessional, crazy.
There is one. I was checking one other thing. There was one notable filmiversary this week. It is the 30th anniversary of Army of Darkness.
Oh wow!
Any fans here? Of Army of Darkness came out.
I am a fan. It's been a while since I've seen it.
February 19th,
That is,
1993.
wow.
Yeah.
it says 1992.
No, 93.
93?
Isn't it? I think 93.
Is Army of Darkness technically Evil Dead 3?
Yeah.
Or it is, right? It's the third one, right?
Oh, it is 92.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, we get our facts wrong here all the time at Back to the Frame Rate. So 31st anniversary, everybody, of
Army of Darkness.
We like to celebrate things on off years. That's fine.
Yes, why not?
That's cool.
What was that movie about? I don't think I
Actually, no, I think it is 1993. It came out in 92, but it is 93. I think it had like maybe no, it's 93. February 19th, 1993.
This year is the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive.
So is it 1993?
It is February 19th, 1993, in the United States. Don't question me again.
No, wait. Is there another Army of Darkness other than another Army of Darkness? What's the Army of Darkness about?
It's tied to the Evil Dead universe. Actually, there's another Evil Dead movie coming out. Evil Dead Rises, Rising. What is it?
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I keep seeing trailers for that. No.
Oh, I did see.
Sam Raimi.
Mm.
No, not ringing a bell. It's okay. Anyways, let's move on to let's get to our featured review of M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin.
Hi there. Can I talk to you for a little bit?
You have to come inside right now. There were 4 of them.
What did we say? You shouldn't make things up when we're talking about...
Can you open the door, please?
They're breaking in! I got you, baby.
We're not here to hurt you, but you have to stay here in the cabin with us. Families throughout history have been chosen to make this decision. Your family must choose to willingly sacrifice one of the 3 of you to prevent the apocalypse.
So we're going to do our...
I swear I heard you say not at the cabin.
Knock at the Cabin. This is going to be... We're going to start off with our spoiler-free thoughts on the film, and then we're going to have our little spoiler bumper, and then we can kind of get into our thoughts where we can share spoilers of the film. So let's start. I think that what we didn't get to talk about this be in our pre-show conversation, but is it okay if we're having a little on the air production meeting, but want to do this so that Sam and Ellie, we each kind of share maybe an initial thoughts on it, and then get a 30-second or 40-second summary of our thoughts, and then we get into our spoilers on it.
Sure.
Let's do that. Yeah. Sam, give me 30 to 60 seconds on your overall thoughts of Knock at the Cabin.
My overall thoughts on Knock at the Cabin, I have to say it's kind of difficult to formulate my opinion on it because I did not dislike it. I thought it was competent. I like all the actors in it. But that being said, I did not particularly enjoy it either. I was not particularly entertained, but at the same time, it wasn't a bad film. I thought that it could have been more suspenseful and I could have been more emotionally involved. But I must say, I really liked the cabin where they shot in New Jersey. Like in a lot of dialogue scenes, I was actually looking at the trees in the background. And it looked like a really nice place to go and a great place to shoot. And judging by the sunlight in the background, I'd say they shot like late July, early August. So that was captivating for sure. But I don't know. It's hard for me to discuss it without going into spoilers because that's directly tied to my opinion of the movie. So decent, but I don't know, not even close to something like Signs, which I actually enjoy a lot. I think it's one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan films. The directing was fine. It was solid. I just felt kind of underwhelmed by it. That's just my general opinion.
Nice. Ellie.
I would call it, it was mediocre to me. It was for Shyamalan, which has done other films that were really great.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed. This film came as a very mid film. Like you didn't make an effort with this. I feel he could have gone further with the story, but it was just meh for me. I did like towards the very end some of the dialogue. A quote that was said, I won't say it, but not to spoil it. But that's the only part that I really loved of the writing. And then I do, I do like the idea of, the moral idea in the film, because there's a moral part of the movie when it comes to the two men and the choices that they have to make. And what do you do? What do you do if you're put in that situation? It's hard, so I some parts I liked. Emotionally, I'm with Sam. I wasn't there with it. emotion of the film. Just really, I don't know what to say because it's just meh for me. It's just, I give it a 4.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. This doesn't give anything away, but there is the one part I did like is I've actually been to lots of parts of Oregon, Northern Oregon, extensively Cannon Beach, where they shot the Goonies, and the rock that was in the Goonies, Castle Rock, is in this film in a shot where like a big tsunami wave is crashing into the rock. And the rock is exactly 204 feet, and the wave just crested over the top. So I appreciated. I don't even know if that was intentional on Shyamalan's part, but
I'm sure it was.
Had a real sense of scale, and I was like, "Wow, that is a 200-foot tsunami. That is scary. I'm entertained." Like,
well, I thought this was an interesting film, and it definitely subverted my expectations. I'll say this was 70% of a very good film. And here's what I did like about it. I think M. Night is a master of ratcheting up tension. And he thrusts us into it immediately. We're introduced to the girl Wen, and she's, I think, collecting grasshoppers. And then we're introduced to Dave Bautista's character, Leonard. And this happens right away. I think like within 3 minutes of when the movie begins. And I just love the framing of this scene. It's this insanely awkward high angle, low angle shots over the shoulder, and emphasizing the height difference of these two. I mean, Leonard could crush this girl in that scene, and it's and it just shows, the difference. I mean, like he could just crush her with his pinky. I just love that confrontation. But in the framing just gets so intimate. These incredibly close-up shots of Leonard and Wen incorporating has these Dutch angles. It's one of the most intense scenes in the movies I've endured in a while. And that was just in the first 3 minutes. The casting, I think, is great. I loved Dave Bautista in this. He is the MVP of this movie. I think he is.
He is.
He is. And I will say this right now. I don't think this is a controversial thing. The best professional wrestler turned actor there is right now. I'm sorry. Sorry. My apologies to The Rock or Hulk Hogan or anybody. I think he is a legitimate actor working right now. He is fantastic in this.
I agree with you, Nathan.
I loved, I think Rupert Grint is great in this. I
love seeing Rupert Grint. Again, the whole cast I liked. And I thought, like Dave Bautista was great. And it was great seeing Rupert Grint. It just makes me want to see Rupert Grint do more stuff.
Yes.
Not only can he act, but he passed the English actors doing American accents incredibly well tested.
I hope to see him doing more things because he was such a joy seeing him in this role. But the last thing I'll say before, I'll hand this off for a spoiler conversation, but that this was maybe the most un-Shyamalan of the movies I think he's made. And before we talk spoilers, M. Night is notorious for twist endings, for better or for worse.
Right.
And the fun of his movies is typically for the audience to kind of figure out, if we can catch that twist, before it happens. And so, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking I'm ahead of this movie. I'm thinking of all the potential ways this is going to unfold. And in the end, and I'm just going to say this and not spoil anything, I was disappointed in how this all ended. It left me feeling very empty.
I was very disappointed.
And unsatisfied.
Yeah, unsatisfying and on a fundamental level, not as entertained as you wanted to be. It's like you wanted something because what? That was it.
It gives you the answer, and it's like there it is, and now you can just go home.
Exactly.
That's why I said it was just meh, because there's no that essence that is his films, Shyamalan's, it wasn't there for me. So
yeah, and without going into spoiler territory yet, even though I want to, the concept of the plot itself, I thought was rather it just it seemed insane to me. There was the plot that they had to do what they needed to do. To me, seemed just like a ridiculous story. Yeah. I was kind of flabbergasted by it.
Well, I think it's difficult to talk about this without getting spoiled. So let's do it right now. Let's get into the our spoiler discussion of Knock at the Cabin. So, what I will say is these home invaders come in and they're saying that, they're worried about, they're saying this is the end of the world. And I think what bothered all of us is that it was all true, number one. But there's go ahead. Sorry, Sam.
No, and I don't mean to interrupt, but what I'm saying is they saved the world, but there's no explanation. At least,
yes,
unless I'm missing something and fill me in. But why, in order to stop the apocalypse, did a human need to be sacrificed?
Well, to understand
or what?
To understand that, you have to read the Bible. Not to get into religion here, but
right. Probably a good point. I have not.
And not to get into religion, but I actually have read the Bible,
right,
from beginning to end, and so I understand what he's trying to do and what the sacrifice is. Basically, I think he's tying it to the Bible, to the part where it says, think about Abraham, for example. He says, you gotta sacrifice your son. The only son he's ever been given the chance to breed or to be born, and he tests him to see if he would kill his son sacrifice the son, and so in I know in Catholic religion they say Jesus died for our sins, so God, who's the Father, sacrificed his only son too, right? So it's kind of like the same thing here. I felt with Eric and Andrew, he had to sacrifice to save the world.
And I definitely understand that, and I see the link. For me, it was just strange that M. Night Shyamalan made a very, religious or quasi-religious movie like that without any twist or nuance. It just the movie felt watching that movie, it felt a bit like a bludgeoning to me.
Well,
it's
he felt like he had nothing to say.
We had to sacrifice, the character died. I felt kind of beat up. The one moment where I felt levity in that movie was when one of the main characters, one of the two guys got to his car and got the gun. It I was yes, just let's get out of here, shoot him, let's escape, and I don't know. There was something tedious about a twist would have helped me latch onto it more or something.
The most exciting part was when he actually got into the car to try and grab the gun and yeah.
Well, a lot of the way things were unfolding in the last 20 minutes is what was driving me up a wall. I'm not even talking about the implications of the world ending. Is what's going on here in the end? It was just driving me bonkers. They decide to lock the strongest man on the planet in the bathroom, number one, which just didn't make sense to me. This is the man with nothing to lose, and they just put him in the bathroom, and everything's just gonna be fine. The moment I heard the window break, I just knew he was setting a trap for the family. What's still interesting about all this is this illusion of danger. Leonard is this imposing and threatening person, and appears, they all these tattoos, and he looks scary. But therefore, when you look back at all this mounting tension, that took place within this movie, it now feels really empty. When I look at this is not a movie that even though I kind of liked it in some ways, it just feels like a big nothing burger because. Honestly, this these four home invaders, and I want to actually get into the rest of them and what because they were interesting.
Burger without ketchup or
but the thing is, they offered no harm to this family at all. They were never going to hurt them, and there was no danger that this family was in.
But and also,
And
thematically, if we're talking about
it was all an illusion, the danger.
yeah, but like if we're talking about the apocalypse and the end of the world and this and that, one of the reasons I like Signs is because it wove its thematic musings into Mel Gibson's character. He was a priest that lost faith.
Yes.
But there was an undercurrent to it. And so I wish that this film had more of an undercurrent, rather than the flashbacks. If we spent more time with them in the cabin at the beginning.
I have a lot to say about the flashbacks.
And it's interesting, like you were talking about the camera angles that you liked, and M. Night Shyamalan is a master of suspense, and he is, but I've seen him do suspense so much better in other films. To me, this movie just felt like flat.
Yeah.
Flat.
Well, it felt like there was suspense.
Got it in the weekend,
It felt like the suspense was real while it was happening, but there was no suspense. Find out. That's what really is disappointing to me.
I didn't feel the suspense. Like, I thought for some reason this movie was gonna scare me. And I love being scared at movies, but it didn't do that. It didn't do anything for me.
It didn't do that. I feel the same way.
Well,
I wanted it to scare me. I wanted the chill.
Well, the thing is,
subversion is good, but there was no entertainment.
We've seen the home invasion genre done so many times in different movies but I mean, that it was interesting for that matter. It wasn't a typical home invasion movie. We've seen that, where they come in, they hold a family hostage, they're harming them, they're threatening them. But Leonard and his crew don't lay a finger on Andrew and Eric and Wen. They're the nicest and kindest people in the world. I would want to, if it wasn't the end of the world, I would want to hang out with these people and have a beer with them. So yeah. they which was an interesting way of doing it. It was so unique.
I think it was a really good concept. I think it's the execution of the concept that wasn't quite up to par, is what we're talking about.
Yes, it just doesn't. It doesn't amount to anything.
But it wasn't enough. Like when it ended, I was kind of like, did it.
Yeah,
That's what it felt like. It was like the end. Leave the theater.
Yes.
Hey, you just want nothing.
But Nathan, the four intruders had to be kind because they're guided by the hand of the Almighty, and if they are supposed to be the four horsemen as they are depicted in the Bible and Revelations, then they can't harm anyone because the choice has to be their choice. Not, they can't kill Andrew or Eric because that kind of would make the whole story go sideways, right?
Yeah,
and that's not what it says. So
they should have.
I do love
the
there was a certain kindness. I did feel bad that basically they're committing suicide.
By the way, I want to talk about those scenes where that crew of home invaders sacrifice themselves. That was chilling, though. When the home invaders do sacrifice themselves, when they put over those white hoodies, those white masks, those scenes, those stuck with me. Although it was interesting how M. Night Shyamalan tamed those scenes too, though. He didn't show them as grotesque as they could have been. I was surprised. This movie, I think, was rated R, but it was not a
light R. It was a light R.
It was not a gory. It was not a gory movie, and these are scenes that we could have seen the awful looking garden tools really do a number on those people, and we didn't. He shied away from it, but you could imagine what those things did.
You could totally imagine. I was enjoying when the girl escaped and was getting into the woods for a second.
That was a great scene.
Dave Bautista finds her right away. I wanted her to get a little further away because the cabin was making me feel claustrophobic, not in an entertaining cinematic way, in a kind of, I was dulled by the situation to me. And some of the dialogue was good. The performances are good. I love all the actors, but the situation felt just kind of endless and slightly bludgeoning. And I was sitting there going like, when is just like the story needs to take me somewhere, and all the implications that Ellie was talking about are fascinating and great. I just think they should have woven that theme into the script on a deeper level, because it's just like,
I
It's
guess
like someone shows up at your door. It's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. It's like, okay.
What did either of you think of the flashback scenes? I felt they were kind of clumsy in the.
I
the
felt
way
they were
going.
clumsy, but I was glad that they were mercilessly short because if you consider the backstory as a B story, the A story was not even entertaining enough. So when you leave a non-entertaining A story to like go through a sub-basement level into a B story, you're like, fuck, this movie is like taking me even further down. So I was glad that those B stories were short because I wanted to get back to the main story, as boring, as frustrating as it was. That was what the thread was, yeah.
To be honest, I didn't care for the flashbacks for Eric and Andrew. I would have wanted to see flashback for the 4 horsemen, for the 4 intruders. That
would have been interesting.
I would love to know more about their backstory, like, you know, the teacher that he was, you know, or the other woman, the waitress, and her son. And he didn't develop that side of the story for me.
It's a perfect, you just said like the word developed. That's what if I had to sum up this movie in one sentence, because I really didn't hate it. I didn't like it that much. I was kind of on the middle, but I would say that it was an interesting concept, but it didn't feel fully developed.
Yeah.
It wasn't mined. It just was kind of like the movie went by and I saw it. I didn't feel strongly about it, but I felt a real disconnect. I mean, I hadn't been to the theater in a while. The only movie I'd seen in the theater 3 times in a row recently was Avatar, and I loved it. And so I was excited to go see Back to the Theater, have a different experience, and I just felt kind of disengaged. And I didn't want to feel disengaged, but I felt like the scenes of I felt like I keep going back to Signs because I like it so much, but there's something about Signs where there's just quiet scenes in the cornfield or lots of space between dialogue where the weird style kind of works for that movie incredibly well. And I felt like M. Night Shyamalan himself felt like a little bit on autopilot, a little bit more like pedestrian directing in this movie. It was kind of in the middle.
I agree. And just to mention on these flashbacks, I also agree. I feel like it was half baked, a lot of these flashbacks ideas. And there was one thread that I feel like was not expanded on enough. And that was, I think it was Andrew at one time, he feels that, I think it's Redman is somebody that he encountered at a bar and like harassed them at one time. And I don't think it's ever evident if this is the same person that not. I think that's intentional, number one. But the movie doesn't really care about this because it's kind of dropped and it's never really fully fleshed out.
I thought that was going to be the twist. I thought because he was concussed, he like imagined the whole thing. It was like, oh, he's having a flashback to this bar.
But M. Night or the movie doesn't seem to really care about this. And that really frustrated me that it just kind of dangled and teased, but it goes nowhere.
It frustrated me too, and I think it would have served the movie better if rather than have those flashbacks, if they'd just gone with a more linear approach and given a bit more time at the beginning, maybe showing their first night at the cabin and kind of establishing it as a happy adventure woodland place so that there could be contrast and emotion.
Or maybe show us the visions, the visions that they all 4 have that connected them together.
Yeah.
It's like that. I know what you mean. It's like we felt kind of distant from the movie. It's like there's an interesting subject, but we're like flying overhead in a plane, and there's like an interesting movie like 20,000 feet away. It's like, oh wait, what about that? What about that? Oh, it's over.
Right. Well, I think we've had a really, really engaging conversation about Knock at the Cabin, and thank you for everyone sharing their thoughts on this. This was. There's a lot to talk about this, a lot to unpack. And I think, I didn't hate this film. I think Sam and
I'm glad I saw it. I mean, I am glad I saw it. And I love going to the movies, to theaters. And so it was good to that I went out and did that because I enjoy the theater going experience. So it was for that, it was worth it. Yeah. All
right. So excellent. All right, let's move on to the next thing because we are, as our shows seem to go, they go long. I put this in the midweek last week because we reviewed Knock at the Cabin. I wanted to have a quick discussion about M. M. Night Shyamalan films and do our top 5 M. Night Shyamalan picks. You know, what are our top 5 M. Night films? And Ellie, did you make a list?
I have my top 5.
And Sam, you got? I think I might know what your top 5 is. You've been gushing over one of them tonight, maybe.
What's yours, Ellie?
Well, but before we do this, let's do this as I outlined before. Ellie, I want you to tell me what your number 5 is.
My number 5. Oh, so 5 to 1.
Yeah, we're gonna start at number 5.
Okay, so number 5, I will say is the. Hold on, let me just go to my paper.
And we're not going to get too deep into like explaining everything. Because
I'll start with old.
Everything's going to be okay. What's your name?
I'm Trent. This is my sister, Maddox.
How old are you guys?
I'll guess I'm good at this. You're 11, right, Trent?
I'm 6.
No. Really, are you 10, 11?
He's not lying. He's 6.
I'm specifically 6 and a quarter. She's 11.
They're feeling unsafe. There is a lot going on here.
They're playing with us. Let's leave it.
Okay. What's your best friend's name?
Maddox.
How sweet.
Have you seen my children?
Is everyone trying to play a joke on us?
So old is actually also my number 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we'll.
Okay.
Can you want to tell me just a moment like what you liked about old, and I might share mine as well.
Well, what about Sam? Is that
well, we both have,
share yours first because I forgot about this part of the assignment, so I'm like going over my phone real quickly. So talk.
Bad student.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, I liked everything about old. I like the it's kind of freaky though. The kids age so fast. But I remember it well. I'm trying to remember the movies. I saw the movie a while back, but it just freaked me out, the idea of growing old so quickly.
I just liked it because it was just this crazy high concept. Like, it reminded me of like what M. Night was trying to do like 10 years ago when he was just swinging for the fences. And I don't think old necessarily works all that well, but I just appreciated the fact that it was just him doing something absolutely insane. It was like him in like the Happening days, if that makes sense. But it was better than the Happening.
Yeah.
I like it when he goes for high concept ideas.
Yeah. And so, I just thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I just, it was really weird, but I like weird.
Yeah.
My list is slightly difficult because I have not seen Split or The Visit or Old, but I would say my number 5 might be the Village.
The Village. That's one I want to revisit.
I do not love The Village either. I just it's
not an easy list to do this because when I was looking at this, like, how many of these movies do I actually really like?
It's been a while since I've seen it, and I know it got like panned or it didn't do well at the box office, but I remember watching on like HBO or something After Earth and actually enjoying it. And I know that movie is like hated by a lot of people, but I liked it.
All right.
What I remember of it.
All right. Ellie, what is your number 4?
The Happening.
Maybe people are setting off the plants?
What are you saying? That guy was crazy. We have to save them.
They're already dead. What if they're targeting us as threats? I mean, this part of the field may not have been set off. Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together. Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
Is that yours too?
No. But I'm glad The Happening made the list here.
Yes, it did. I did watch The Happening a while back too, but uh, I just love it. It's anything apocalyptic I'm gonna watch, and anything, So I can't even remember this movie now, but I just wait. Is this the one where they?
You don't know what it is.
No, I do, but I've seen it like a while back, so I can't even remember it now.
This is
No, I just saw it honestly, I saw The Happening back in December, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I happened to come across it. And I even asked my kid, I'm like, I didn't know Shyamalan made The Happening. And I'm like, I need to watch this. And yeah, that's where the kids, the plants are eating or killing the people.
Or the air.
The air.
With Mark Wahlberg and.
Yes. And it's kind of it comes with the wind, right? It's the wind.
Yeah, the wind. Yeah,
it's
fantastic Mark Wahlberg performance. Yeah,
the toxins are in the wind.
Uh-huh.
All I remember is John Leguizamo gets killed really quickly in the film.
And then people like dive in front of traffic, or what I love
the lawnmower.
Yeah, when you don't know what the plot is or what's happening, it just seems like random crazy stuff is going on, and like Mark Wahlberg is running around like, guys, something's going on. The bees are doing something.
That's right.
I give it a 4 only because it was entertaining, and I just I think that we had to respect nature, because one day nature's gonna turn on us.
Yes, right. That's what the underlying theme was. I'm sure that's what M. Night was thinking.
Yes.
All right. I think I'm going next. My number 4 actually was The Village. I had to pick it because I had to put something in here, and I haven't seen The Village in a long time. It's been a while, but I do want to revisit it. But I remember pretty much I enjoyed The Village when that came out. I remember it was one of those movies that really I thought he did a good job ratcheting up that tension in this. I don't know if it holds up the same way on a second viewing, knowing how it ends, but it is. I'll say this: this week, knowing that I was going to watch Knock at the Cabin, I wanted to revisit some M. Night Shyamalan movies, and I watched 2 films this week. I did rewatch Signs to prepare for this list, and I did watch one of his movies I never saw before, and that was After Earth. After Earth did not make this list, but it was far better than I ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hear you.
It was, and I will say this: that I don't know. I saw it had like a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it is far better than that. What I don't think, and this is not. I don't know why I'm talking about After Earth right now, but I didn't love the way they used Will Smith in that movie. Kind of limited to being stuck in an aircraft for the entire movie. But I thought the action was really good in that. I thought the special effects were really good in that, and I was into the story. I was, and I don't know why that movie was panned as much as it was. So
I don't understand either. I can understand it not getting great reviews, but it was just like mercilessly bad and negative. And I watched it. Like, wait a minute, I'm enjoying this.
It was kind of. I felt kind of deadpan. Is maybe the only thing I could think of.
Like serious and monotone. Yeah.
It was, but nowhere. I was like, this is maybe because my expectations were so low. That
different
like
time in the future,
yeah. But anyways, this is not After Earth did not make my list, but it was nowhere near as low as Lady in the Water. I'll say that. So anyways.
Lady in the Water is god awful. Yeah.
So anyways, so The Village is my number 4. Nothing to do with After Earth has nothing to do with that. But anyways, Sam,
After Earth is my number 4 actually.
Excellent. All right.
After Earth. I have to watch After Earth. I haven't watched After Earth yet.
I enjoyed it. I'd have to see it again. I mean, I saw it a few years ago, but I was pleasantly surprised. Also, because I had zero expectations, because like I'd heard only negative things. So when I watched it, I was like, wait a minute, this is really not as bad as they say it is. I'm enjoying this movie.
I think also there was so much bad juju coming off of movies like The Happening, The Last Airbender. I think he was just in the doghouse that there was nothing that M. Night Shyamalan was going to do that I think people were going to be happy with at that point. He had to hit rock bottom, and giving him a big budget sci-fi movie was probably just the wrong thing at the wrong time for him. I think he did the right thing, self-funding his own movies and rebuilding his career, and that's what he had to do. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ellie, what do you got at number 3?
So number 3 for me would be Signs. Don't kill me, Sam.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, Sam. I know you love Signs, but I do love Signs. I watched Signs when it first came out, and I loved it. I loved everything about it, and it scared me a lot.
Yeah, it definitely has
But
some-
it did scare me. And I should watch it again to discuss it, but I didn't watch it. I didn't have time. So it's just, all I remember is that it scared me when I saw it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And I think that's why I love Shyamalan, because I think that was the first film I've seen of his, Signs. And I got hooked.
Big hit, yeah.
I got hooked with his filmmaking, and like I said, I love films that scare me, but that can be actually true too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and science can easily be something that happens to us. You know.
Very true.
Yes. Well, we've been watching the news this week. You know, it's.
I mean,
what's going on?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm living in a movie.
Yeah.
Because all this crap that's going, earthquakes. I'm sorry about earthquakes, the UFOs, the Chinese balloon, the in France last night, meteors coming down. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a movie. It's a movie.
Yep.
I do want to know what's going on with these flying objects, and I'm wondering about that for sure.
All right, my number 3. We might be getting into some overlap at this point. I think it was like the 4th and 5th movies where we might have some oddities out there. But my number 3 is Unbreakable.
So is mine.
All right.
No,
And
okay. Can I just say something?
Yes.
Really quickly? I was gonna pick Unbreakable because I can't decide between Unbreakable and Sight, but I did like Unbreakable a lot too. So.
And I have to admit, it's been a long time since I've seen Unbreakable. But I did love this when it came out. I think this is by far one of Bruce Willis's best performances he's ever done. And I do love this film, but I want to revisit this one again. This was when I was on my Shyamalan kick this week that I was really debating if I'm going to rewatch something. Was it going to be Signs or Unbreakable? And I went with Signs, but this is an excellent film. So me and Sam share this. Anything you want to say about Unbreakable, Sam?
I have not seen it in so long that I honestly don't remember it well, but I remember liking it, and it just seemed like the natural place for it to be on the list, given that I have not seen all of M. Night's films.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, Ellie, you're number 2. We might know this one already.
This is hard because, but okay. Split.
Split.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
but
I have yet to see Split. I would like. I heard only good things.
So tell me about Split. This is a surprise to me. You really liked Split. Tell me.
I do. I love the. I think it's, again, I love it because of the reality of the movie. I think there are people that suffer from that illness. What's the illness called? DID, fish. I can't even think of them. Does anyone know? split personality.
Yes, there's the actual clinical term for it. Dissociative personality disorder, something like that.
Yeah,
Something,
yeah.
I'm not. I might be completely botching that. And anyone listening that knows the actual clinical term, please forgive me. I believe it's something along those lines.
I think it's the initials I did, so it's
dissociative identity disorder.
Yes, and in a way, I feel bad for the main character there. What's his name?
I don't remember.
He's actually really good in this movie.
Oh, the actor.
James
McAvoy. James McAvoy plays.
It's James McAvoy.
Yeah,
I felt was amazing in this film.
Mm-hmm.
He caught my attention. He had me on my chair, like holding on to my chair, at least for me. And the split personality that I just I just like when you have something going through your veins and it just did that. That movie is yeah.
Well, that's I'm excited that you picked Split, and that's a kind of a surprising pick, but I didn't expect it. But that's great that you put it in there. So fantastic. All right, my number 2 is Signs.
People break down into 2 groups. When they experience something lucky, group number 1 sees it as more than luck, more than coincidence. They see it as a sign, evidence that there is someone up there watching out for them. Group number 2 sees it as just pure luck, a happy turn of chance. I'm sure the people in group number 2 are looking at those 14 lights in a very suspicious way. For them, this situation is a 50-50. Could be bad, could be good. But deep down, they feel that whatever happens, they're on their own. And that fills them with fear.
Yeah, I actually watched this recently again. I saw this in the theater back in 2002, and this scared the bejesus out of me back then. Like 20 odd years later, I'll say the most impactful aspect of this film isn't the shock value of this, but the nuances of the questions that it's really asking about. What type of person are we? Do we have faith in a higher power, or are we on our own? I thought that was just a fascinating question that it's posing now.
Yeah, and the thematic issues are well woven into, I like the script. Yeah.
Yeah. So the signs that this movie is wrestling with really aren't the crop circles, but it's, is there the signs of, is there a higher power that exists? For that, I do appreciate this film. On the second watch, as a horror thriller, I think the tensions that M. Night builds is wonderful. However, I think in the third act, it does become a conventional horror home invasion thing, and I didn't find it as stimulating or scary as I remember back from 20 years ago. So, but I still really, really love this movie, but it wasn't nearly as scary as it had that impact on me from 20 years ago. For some reason, I remember I was watching this movie through my fingers 20 years ago, but it didn't. And I watched this recently and was like, but it had landed on me completely different this time. But I still fantastic film.
I hear that. Yeah.
So Signs was my number 2. All right, Sam.
My number 2 was The Sixth Sense.
Grandma says hi. She says she's sorry for taking the bumblebee pendant. She just likes it a lot.
What?
Grandma comes to visit me sometimes.
Cole, that's very wrong. Grandma's gone, you know that.
I know. She wanted me to tell you.
Cole, please
She wanted me to tell you she saw you dance. She said When you were little, you and her had a fight. Right before your dance recital. You thought she didn't come to see you dance. She did.
And again, it has been years and years and years since I saw that. I saw it in the theater back in '99 when it became a sleeper hit that summer. Amid other much larger releases like Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. But I liked it a lot, and it's been a while, and I did not have a rewatch recently. But I just, the classic plot twist, the story, the tone, it's just a solid, good thriller movie, well acted, good characters, decent screenplay. I liked it for sure. That's why it's number 2, because
99 was such a good year for movies. So yeah.
It was. Lots of good ones.
Yep. Good pick. All right.
Yeah, the best movie of 1999, hands down, Universal Soldier 2, The Return.
2. All right.
Sarcasm.
I remember Universal Soldier, actually.
Yeah, the first one I actually like with Van Damme and Dolph and Roland Emmerich's movie. Yeah,
I
he
didn't
directed
realize how many movies there are in the Universal Soldier franchise.
Oh, there's tons. Yeah, and I lost
and they
track of
keep
them.
getting Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren to come back for these. Like they've
Keep
been
getting them
milking
to come
these.
back. Yeah.
All right. Ellie, what do you got at your number 1?
The Sixth Sense.
Okay.
The Sixth Sense is my number 1 movie, and I
share that with you.
Science was my first movie that I saw, and then I went searching for other movies. And then when I saw The Sixth Sense, I just loved everything about the film. The actors, the little boy, amazing acting, and just the twist to the story. I did not see it coming. I mean, I love it that he had me like that whole time. I thought he was for real. He was.
I didn't see it coming at the time either. It totally got me.
I think I love it so much. It's because of that twist, and obviously because I was scared out of my mind with the dead people that the kid will see, and because I see dead people too.
Well, I share the same number 1 pick with you, Ellie. Sixth Sense is also my number 1. Maybe it's for arbitrary reasons because it has also been a long time since I've seen it. I watched it a lot back then. I probably have seen it 4 or 5 times, but not in at least 17 or 18 years. I would like to see it again and see how it holds up. I just remember though, the performances are amazing. I remember Toni Collette is the first time I think I saw her in something, and she, as the mom, was phenomenal in this.
Yeah,
I think it put her on the radar for me as one of my favorite actresses working. And Haley Joel Osment, as the kid. I think he was nominated for Academy Award. Was he nominated? Maybe not, but he was. But I thought maybe he was. Maybe not. Anyways, I sometimes like to nominate people that weren't. Anyways, but yes, it was a great film, and I think we're on the same page with that. Let's see, Sam. I think you have definitely the Happening at number 1, right? Or The Lady in the Water, number 1?
100% number 1, The Happening. Just
Yes.
joking. For me, Signs is number 1, and I think one of the reasons that it slightly edges out to the top spot is that I've always liked how filmmakers interpret aliens. I think the idea of other life out there, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, is fascinating to me. So I'm a big fan of films like Close Encounters and, things that have to do with UFOs. And so that hook, combine that with a good screenplay about characters, about faith, like you were saying, choosing what type of person you are, just made for an all-around good experience. I never found it terrifying. Well, I saw it back in the theater then, and I was just very entertained in a thriller way. But the movie has always stuck with me. The atmosphere, the cornfields, the creepy, garbled alien noises over the like baby monitor radio.
The sound design. I was about to say the sound design
is excellent in that movie. Yeah, I just think that for aliens to choose a planet that's 70% water and they're like allergic to water, it's like, okay, not the brightest aliens. No. But other than that, if you can look aside from that, it's good, you know.
It's a movie.
Yeah, exactly. But those details, that that's the stuff that matters to me.
It's really good.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is our we'll look back at the M. Night Shyamalan, our top 5 favorite M. Night Shyamalan films. Let's move on to our staff recommendations. And tying into our review of Knock at the Cabin, we're going to each give a recommendation of one film of vacations gone wrong. And Ellie, would you like to go first this week? Do you have a recommendation of a film?
Okay, I saw tying it to the vacations gone wrong. I saw the Midsommar. Midsommar. Of course, I was gonna butcher the name. It's me. 2019 film.
Yes.
What's his last name?
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster.
Yeah.
He's cute, by the way. I mean, he's young.
That's
but
always an important thing about the directors that you follow, right?
It has to be. I mean, like, he's really cute. I'm just okay. Anyway, going back to say it again.
Midsommar. That's how I say it. I think that's how it should be said.
Midsommar. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Ari makes this type of movies that kind of leave you like, what? What are you thinking? But I actually enjoyed it. I don't know if I loved it. I enjoyed it. It's got some gruesome scenes, and some nudity and sexual content. For those of you who don't like that, don't watch.
Don't watch it with your parents or your children.
Yeah, I did that one time. I watched a movie that was, with my parents, and I was, no. But that's my recommendation. I think it's
not safe for the workplace, I guess. Right? No.
And it's basically this group of young kids, college kids, working on their thesis. I guess for college, they go to this sort of festival in Sweden or Switzerland, one or the other, and it's a festival, I don't want to spoil it, but eventually everybody starts to disappear till only 2 are left, and they're the chosen ones to stay with the village, with the people from that festival. And it's I
liked this film, and it was very unsettling film, and I like Ari Aster movies a lot, but this is, I guess, if I compare it to like if you enjoyed like The Wicker Man, that kind of vibe.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. The Wicker Man. I did like The Wicker Man because I also like the main actor in that movie.
Yeah. So no, I think this is a good recommendation. The discussions of this film online are so divisive. Like, people either love this film or they hate it, and it's like, this is a horror movie. Oh, it's not a horror movie. Like, it's because it's such a slow burn. So if you're expecting like this to be a scary film or a traditional horror film, it's not that.
It's not.
No, it's not. And people I've seen get really angry when people recommend this movie. Like, this is the worst thing they've ever seen, or people love this. I've seen, and I think that's always a good sign of a good movie, something you should watch when there's so many differing opinions on a film like this, because this is an interesting movie. And but you have to really be in the mood for it.
And that's pretty much it. I was looking through movies to watch, and I practically seen all the vacation movies that I've seen, and I wanted to see something new that I have not seen, and I didn't want to watch a comedy vacation one, so I went with this because I love Ari, and I was very surprised. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just a movie that I watched because I had time to.
Yeah,
and
but I think it's a good recommendation, and it's worth seeing because it's something that definitely sparks conversation. I think, and I love talking to people about this movie because there's a lot of opinions on it.
Well, if anything, you should watch so that you don't make those mistakes like those people did. So buyer beware when you go away to a vacation and it's a festival and they're dressed like in white gowns, like a cult. Run. Okay. So yeah, use it as an educational tool.
Good rule of thumb. Good rule of thumb. Yep. Florence Pugh is in this, and she's also great as always.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Midsommar, and I think that's streaming on Showtime. It's on Canopy if you have a Canopy account, which is a great service, free with most libraries, and you can purchase or rent it on VOD.
I think I watched it on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you got for us?
So for me, a vacation movie gone wrong, and one of my favorite movies, probably in top 20, I picked Alexander Payne's Sideways with Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church and many more. Just it's a wonderful. I love this movie, and at first I thought it doesn't quite fit under Vacation Gone Wrong, but in many ways it does because the name of the movie is Sideways, and the vacation goes sideways. And the characters, the dialogue, I think it is an excellent film. And I just love everything about it. So for me, that was a natural choice. And that's a movie that I've seen frequently over the years. It's not as if, like 10 or 15 years have passed by when I haven't seen it. I saw it when it came out in the theater. I saw it once recently, a few months ago. I love that film.
Sideways is also one of my all-time favorites. So I double down on your recommendation, Sam. It's wonderful, and I have been to that part of California several times, wine country. It's
yes.
it quadrupled the wine industry in San Ynez Valley when that movie came out.
It did, and I'm blanking on the author's name, but Sideways is actually based off a novel of the same name, and that same author wrote 2 more sequel novels, and the studio wanted to see if Alexander Payne wanted to make more, and he didn't. And I totally understand why. Lightning in a Bottle, for selfish reasons, I enjoyed those characters so much. I would have loved to have seen the cinematic version of their lives continue, because in the sequel, the name of the movie is Vertical. That's the actual title. Wow. Paul Giamatti's character is doing incredibly well. He's signed a book deal. His career is taking off, and Thomas Hayden Church, his character, is going down the drain, and he's going through a divorce. So they kind of switch positions in life. And the third book actually has Paul Giamatti's character Miles go off on this existential wine drinking festival somewhere. God, I know they go to the Oregon coast in the second book, and in the third one he goes to Bolivia or someplace in South America, Chile or somewhere like that. But I just think it would have been great to see those 2 movies. But I understand why he didn't go back and make them. And also too much time has passed to return to those characters, I feel.
Yeah.
Could, but
that would have been great.
The story would have picked up 5 years. Now it's almost 20. It's almost 20 years later. So that time in their lives, there's too much of a time gap, you know?
Yeah. Well, wonderful pick, Sam, and I do. Sideways is a fantastic. I think it's a great pick. It's a great pick.
I just love that movie.
And I love the whole vibe of that. I've been to the Hitching Post several times, that restaurant. Wow.
I gotta check that out because I've been through there. Like I've explored all over like far northern California, but I love Sideways. I have barely gone to wine country. So
that is such a unique part of California. The Hitching Post. I've been to the restaurant. I've stayed in the hotel motel, the Windmill.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did it before the movie came out too. So it was like I've been to all these locations. The Calera wine vineyard. I've all those. Me and my wife, we've done that trip before. Not as the same way that Miles experienced it, but it's like all the locations is like we've been there, we've been there. It's
the place is like a character in the movie. Like
it is.
Wine Country is a character. That film has such a tone to it, and I love. Lastly, I'll say I love the ending because the ending gives hope. Yes. To Paul Giamatti's character. Maya calls back and he goes and shows up and knocks at her door. We don't know if she's home or not.
We don't know.
The movie cuts there, but the movie, what that scene indicates is that there's hopes that things are going to get better for Paul Giamatti. So it leaves you on that optimistic note.
Yeah.
Without giving you that cheesy Hollywood ending of her opening the door and the two of them kissing. That would have been tonally wrong. So I just love the way that movie ends because it's like, keep going, man. There's always tomorrow. I love that thematically.
So yeah, Sideways streaming on HBO-MAX and available for rent or purchase on VOD.
Nice.
So, all right. So my pick is Fall. Just Fall. And this is a movie I saw in the theater this past fall. In the fall. This is a 2022 thriller from director Scott Mann, and it's starring Grace Caroline Curry, and Virginia Gardner. So this is about these two women in the beginning of the film. They're mountain climbing.
I wanted to see this. I saw the poster. Sorry, I just looked it up.
Yeah, and it's with one of their husbands, and a very tragic event happens. And I'm sure you can guess, but a year goes by, and one of them is grieving and hasn't been able to get over the loss of, in the first 5 minutes, one of them loses their husband. So this is not really spoiling anything at all. But her best friend somehow convinces her other friend, that the way to get back on the horse, in order to do this, is to climb the highest freaking radio tower in the world, which is apparently an abandoned 2,000-foot high structure in the middle of nowhere in America. What could possibly go wrong?
Already want to see it.
Okay,
I feel like it's executive. It's like drama, great.
So now, I don't know if I'm selling this movie properly as a vacation
sold.
gone wrong movie,
yeah.
But it's so impeccably executed. Their ascent up this radio tower had me on the edge of the seat. You know that saying that they sell, we'll sell you the whole seat, but you only need the edge. That's what I felt like watching this movie in the theater. I saw this in the theater on the big screen, and it's too late to see it in the theater, but it was such an experience seeing this in the theater, because it needed that type of viewing experience.
And I'm gonna watch that.
This movie was a relatively mid-tier, low-budget film, but the effects in this were incredible. I really believe they were climbing this structure. It was really amazing. I don't have fear of heights, but there were so many times, I'm watching this where I had a physical response to this movie. Things, of course, go horribly wrong. And it's just really brilliant how the filmmakers, find ways of putting obstacles in front of these characters, and they have to find ways out of this dilemma in a realistic way. So they're problem solving their way through this ordeal, climbing this and eventually getting stuck on this radio tower. It's really brilliant how they are trying to solve their way through this. I love this film. This film made my top 10 of last year. I thought it was that well done. So this is right now available to stream on Stars if you get Stars, and you can buy or rent it on VOD. So that's Fall, and I want to see it again because it was a really fun time, a good ride.
Now I'm gonna have to see it because I've come maybe close to clicking to watch this film 4 times, and I did not because I'm thinking, it's just another movie, but hikers that are gonna, fall down and
it has a twist. It's not fully that conventional. It has a twist in it that you don't see coming as well. So
I like twists.
It does.
I like it. And I am afraid of heights.
Mm-hmm.
So...
if you're afraid of heights, you're gonna be I don't have a fear of heights, and I was like,
oh my God.
I don't have a fear of natural heights. Like if I'm on the top of like a mountain or a cliff, it's man-made heights. So like the structures when you're like, there's a railing, or that's where I have a fear of heights for sure.
This is a 2,000-foot tower, and it's just straight up. And I don't know how they did such a good job making this. This is not a true structure they were climbing, of course, but they did such a good job making you feel like they were really climbing this thing.
I just like that it has I can feel the hook. Like when you said Fall, I looked it up and I'd seen that poster before.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't gotten around to seeing that movie, but I felt it kind of drawn to it. I was like, Fall, gravity.
This movie is a visceral experience.
I love it.
I came seconds away from, clicking on it and watching it. And now I'm going to have to watch it later.
And there's neat problem solving that happens in this movie, and they have to figure out how to get out of this with whatever they have on them. They have a backpack, they've got devices with them that they're trying to figure out how to get out of this mess, and it's really clever.
That's awesome.
How they do this. So yeah, it was better than it should have ever been. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay. So that is
good rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Fall 79%. It's like tomato meter fresh.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
All right. So those are our recommendations. Let's just kind of do a little wrap up, and I'll just mention a couple movies that are coming out in wide and limited release. And we have coming up this week, and I think we're all looking forward to this. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is coming out in wide release.
Ant-Man.
That's true. I got to go see Avatar one more time because the IMAX screen in Providence will be taken over by Quantumania. So I need my 4th and final viewing of Avatar: The Way of Water on IMAX before that. But yeah, that's just me.
Yeah. And
great.
In limited release, and we have Marlowe. Is directed by Neil Jordan, is written by Neil Monahan. This is a neo-noir crime thriller about famed private dick Philip Marlowe. Liam Neeson is starring this in the title role. It's in a limited release, but I probably won't get to the theater to see this, but I love the fact that Liam Neeson is not doing the schlocky action, and he's kind of doing a more subtle role. So
he's still fighting though. I saw the preview last night.
Yeah, but this seems a little different for him. So I'm kind of intrigued by this.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Is it based on a true story?
Well, it's Philip Marlowe. Philip Marlowe is a fictional character.
Oh.
Yeah. In limited release, who's looking forward to Winnie the Pooh: Blood and Honey? This is a horror.
Are you crazy?
Horror slasher version of the children's series of books. I read an article. Now, this is director Ray's Frake Waterfield, and he's going to be doing a series of these movies based on children's books. And he wants to do like Peter Pan and films like this. And this is the intention. So that's.
And he wants to make them all horror?
Yeah, horror themed, like fairy tales and children's books. So that's Winnie the Pooh: Blood and Honey.
Does he not like children?
So there's a couple of the releases coming out this weekend in the theater. So next week on the show, what do we say we're gonna review? Let's just we're gonna do
Someone I used to know.
So we're gonna be reviewing
someone that
didn't have to cut me out, make it like it never happened, and that we were nothing. 2012 coming back at you.
Someone that I used to know, Sam.
So I think it's good that we share this with everyone, because then everyone can have a chance maybe to see it with us. So we're going to be reviewing the 2023 film Someone I Used to Know, which is directed by Dave Franco.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and this stars Alison Brie. It's going to be streaming. It's streaming right now on Amazon Prime. So this is a romantic comedy. This looks good. I'm looking forward to this. So we're going to be reviewing that next week. Yeah. And hey, Haley Joel Osment's in this. Speaking of M. Night Shyamalan connections.
And I don't want to give this away now, but to get people excited, if you listen to the podcast next week, we will be giving out $100 million in cash. You want to give it away, but you might want to give it a listen.
Everyone, we are not giving away $100 million. So as a note, don't definitely not giving away any money.
Sam is in a mood right now, so forgive the.
Sam, did you have dinner tonight yet?
No, I have not had dinner yet tonight.
Okay, so anything Sam has said, just disregard.
Crutch.
That includes all my opinions on movies.
Yes.
None of them, you know.
We're going to try to get Sam food before
sideways,
the podcast.
sideways.
Oh, here's something. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so I recommend The Notebook.
Yes, Notebook. Everyone, mandatory viewing The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Okay. All right, so that's a show. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. You can please subscribe and rate, review on iTunes or Apple Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Back to the Frame Rate, and on Twitter at Back Frame Rate. We need to get a better handle for that one. You can email us directly at backtotheframerate@gmail.com. Woo. All right. Good show, everyone. We will.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And talk to everyone next week.